Check out this clip and tell me if you notice something.
And, it really wouldn't cost that much money. Seriously. By the way, who's going to take care of the cats while we're away? Oh, I know. Why don't we have Jane look after the cats while we go away?
Seems like a normal scene, right? But back in 1966, when The Secret of Wendel Samson came out, it was revolutionary. Here are two dudes in a relationship, raising cats together and casually kissing each other. This was practically unheard of and definitely unseen at this time. Sure, there was the very explicit gay kiss in Amphetamine the same year, and Andy Warhol's Kiss came out a bit earlier. But those were experimental, plotless films. The last notable male-on-male kiss in an American narrative film happened almost 40 years earlier, in Wings. And people are divided over whether that one even counts as romantic or not. So let's take a look at The Secret of Wendel Samson and celebrate it not only as a milestone in gay history, but also as a genuinely entertaining piece of 1960s underground cinema. George and Mike Kuchar, twin brothers born in New York City in 1942, got an 8mm camera for their 12th birthday and spent the next decade making movies together, inspired by the films they saw in the theaters at that time, which were mostly biblical epics and sci-fi B-movies. They usually started with a rough idea and used actors and props that were available on that day, then dubbed the dialogue later, and added a collage of pre-existing, often melodramatic music as the soundtrack. The New York avant-garde art scene of the early 60s quickly embraced the brothers and their do-it-yourself approach to filmmaking, and by the middle of the decade, they both had upgraded to 60mm and started doing solo projects. Mike Kuchar's best-known movie is the 1965 sci-fi film Sins of the Flesherpoints. It's about a robot falling in love and rebelling against its human masters. And with narration like this, it's not hard to read it as a queer allegory.
It was incredible for Guy and Bino to understand how two robots could feel affection for one another. It's against nature, he screamed. Against the laws of the universe. This would upset the very foundation of life itself.
But that's only half of the film. A huge chunk of its 43 minutes is actually devoted to a human love triangle, which uses every excuse in the book to show off the hunky young lover who was only cast for his looks. Her lover in the film was like those handsome Hollywood stars like Steve Reeves, those masculine, muscular guys who can't act. Julius couldn't act, he was awful, he was worse than them. But it doesn't matter, it's just the way it is in those big production pictures. At one point the hunk gets a massage from a male servant robot. Later he basically takes a bath with two of them. There is nothing gay happening, and yet it seems gayer than most films I've talked about so far. It's also extremely entertaining. In fact, besides being endlessly inventive and surprisingly well made despite their budgets, a lot of the Kuchar brothers' films are also very funny, deliberately so. Just look at George Kuchar grappling with religious guilt over his attraction to boys in Eclipse of the Sun Virgin. Or how Mike Kuchar ended The Craven Slug, his riff on domestic melodramas, when he realized he didn't like where the story was going and needed to quickly solve the established conflict.
Good Lord, we're being attacked by flying saucers from another planet. I must flee to safety.
Shoot the main star, then the picture can't go on. This was normal for the Kuchars. They had no problem changing their plans at the last minute.
He would say, "You want to be in this next film?" He goes, "Oh, you can be the Swamp King." And I'd say, "Yeah, sure, I'll be your Swamp King." He goes, "Okay, we got to paint you green." And I'd say, "Oh, actually, I got to be somewhere in like an hour and a half, so I don't know if being painted green is a good idea." So, that's all right, the film doesn't need a Swamp King.
When the lead actress of George Kuchar's best-known film, Hold Me While I'm Naked, had to quit because she got sick, he just wrote that into the script and turned it into a film about a director unraveling over his actress leaving.
You're not going to finish the movie?
It's this kind of spontaneity that gave us arguably the best gay short film of the 1960s, The Secret of Wendel Samson. It all started with Mike Kuchar meeting the popular mixed media artist Red Grooms after a screening. The two decided to make a film together, and Kuchar, liking Grooms' red hair, told him to grow a beard, but had nothing else in mind for him to do. I wanted to do something fantastical looking, image-wise, but I had no idea of a plot. So I said, well, I'll make a spider web. Hang him in a spider web. Why not? That'll take 2 hours or something. So I shot that, but then I started thinking it could be a metaphor. It kind of moved on from that. It turned into the story of a young artist named Wendel who's conflicted about his sexuality. He's in a secret relationship with Terry, but doesn't love him and practices breaking up with him.
Terry, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. Don't waste your time on me. God damn it, I don't love you.
He also sleeps with other men that he meets on the street, leading to one of my favorite sequences in all of these shorts.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm fine.
Care to come up for a cup of coffee?
Yeah. Boy, this coffee's great.
I'm glad you like it. Well, look, don't be a stranger. Drop by again.
Ciao.
Then there's a female friend named Margaret, who fantasizes about romantic dates with Wendel and pressures him into having sex.
Something tells me she's here for more than just a chit-chat visit.
Wendell, make love to me.
Why can't we just be friends, like we've always been? I'm gonna forget what just happened.
All of this culminates in what else? A dream sequence inspired by Orson Welles' adaptation of Franz Kafka's The Trial. Wendell is pulled out of his bed by 2 shadowy men who bring him to a tribunal. A blonde woman with a gun demands that he sleep with her.
Superman, Earth's mightiest hero, who possesses incredible super strength with his invulnerable body and indestructible super costume. All know his amazing supervision, but just who is Superman?
I can't do it. I can't.
When Wendell refuses, he gets executed. But Wendell gets the last laugh, literally, when he simply turns around to confront his tormentors, laughs in their faces, and breaks free, while the Superman soundbite on the soundtrack triumphantly declares, "Up, up and away."
and away!
That's the beauty of low-budget films. You can do whatever you want, even let your queer characters survive. Nobody in Hollywood would have given Mike Kuchar money for a surreal relationship dramedy that normalizes homosexual desires. So he just made it himself. He would go on to work as a cinematographer for the pioneering German filmmaker and gay activist Rosa von Braunheim, create homoerotic art for publications like Gay Heartthrobs, and direct over 100 short films and video portraits. His brother George doubled that output. And to be honest, most of his later stuff is not for me. But there's a lot to discover in the films he did in the 60s and 70s, especially his collaborations with Kurt McDowell, who will probably be the subject of a future episode in this series. Directors like David Lynch and Atom Egoyan have proclaimed their love for the Kuchar brothers and cited them as an influence, none more so than, unsurprisingly, John Waters.
I'd like to offer a toast to my heroes, the Kuchar brothers, the first people that ever made me want to make movies, that made me realize I could after Walt Disney. But you all made it seem real.
Yet before I started researching gay short film history, I had never even heard of Mike, who is still alive and active, or George, who sadly passed away from prostate cancer in 2011. But after watching these films and several interviews and documentaries, I fell in love with these brothers and their early work. And they made me appreciate 60s underground cinema a lot more. Their spirit already lives on in thousands of highly creative, no-budget short films right here on YouTube. So let's hope that future generations will remember them as the pioneers they were. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this. And come back next time for a nightmare trip through England's countryside.